Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion is telling us here. You come to this world to fulfill Hashem's will. Not to make money. Not to fulfill all your physical desires. Not to be famous. Not to do anything other than to fulfill the will of Hashem for your own best interest. Hashem will be perfect with or without you. But for your own best interest, you have to fulfill the will of Hashem. Anytime you do something that's against Hashem, it's like somebody drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Anytime you do something that's against Hashem, you are feeding your neshama poison. Now you might not see the effect of the poison today. Just like smokers don't see the effect of the cigarette on their lungs today. Or people that take drugs, the first time they smoke pot, they don't think it's a big deal. When do they realize it's a big deal? 5, 6, 7 years into it, when it's no longer just pot. Pot is just a recreational drug they do in between the cocaine and heroin, or the pills and everything else that they're addicted to. But it started as pot, innocent pot they call it. Nonsense. The point being here is Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion is telling you didn't come for that. You came here to fulfill the will of Hashem. Now, if you actually understood what Torah is and how good it is for you, that it's the medicine, it's the cure, it's everything and anything that's any good in the world must have a source in a Torah. If you realize what it is, and you spend any time that you had free doing anything other than Torah, in Shamayim it's considered as if you are mocking it. Meaning, if obviously you're making a living, you're driving your cab, you're selling your stocks, you're selling your insurance, you're building your building, you're making your living, it's fine. Do what you got to do. You're spending time with your family to have shlom bayit, fine. There's a certain amount of time you have to spend with your family also. Raise your kids, be with your wife, be with your husband, and so on. But everyone has 24 hours. No one has more, no one has less. Everyone has 24 hours. There's no way that you can say that he can study 12 hours a day, also has a job, but he can study 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day, but you can't find 1 hour. It's impossible. It's impossible that my student in Bulgaria, that's a shepherd, in process of conversion, has the ability to study a few hours of Torah every single day, well, with the sheep, without the sheep, with work, without work, with money, without money, cold, hot, irrelevant. He can find a few hours every single day to study Torah and do KIRUV. Another student in India not only studies Torah, probably more than anybody, he does more KIRUV than anybody else. Vimesh the Tzaddik, the person, I don't know, honestly, I think he's like a mini Eliyahu Navi or something. The guy doesn't sleep ever, he studies non-stop, he learns Torah non-stop, and does KIRUV at the same time. Other students that I have all over the place, some are studying an hour a day, some 15 minutes a day, some few hours, 10 hours a day. I have one guy who went from being a murderer to being an avrech in a kollel. Studies 8, 10 hours a day. All these people are studying Torah. You don't have 1 hour? You don't have a half hour? Nothing? You have no time for God? So Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion says, you, my friend, are a scorner. Why? Because really deep down inside, you're not one of these ignorant people who doesn't know what Torah is. If you're one of those people who doesn't know what Torah is, it's different. We are still trying to get you out of the zoo, because you still think that you and a gorilla are the same. Because you don't know that we're here and we're different than the gorillas. You don't know that Darwin was just a theory, it's not fact. You don't know what Torah is yet. Fine, you're different, you're in a different class. But if you already know what Torah is, you go to Bet Knesset, you keep a few mitzvot, you're like one of those robots that keep Shabbat. And you still don't study Torah, you're doing Hashem a favor by studying a few Mishnayot once a week, you, my friend, are considered a scorner. Every time you sit with one of your friends, and neither one of you has a Dvar Torah, and the only Dvar Torah you have is how LeBron James went to Rabbi Pinto for a bracha before he signed a contract with the Cleveland or with somebody a few years ago. That's your Dvar Torah. You, my friend, have a serious problem. Rabbi Hanan ben Tardion is telling you, you're missing the point. Because if you actually knew what Torah is, you wouldn't waste a minute not learning it. What is it like, Chazal says? Chazal says it's like somebody that gets a job to count money. Press this button, you print paper. Press this button, you print money. So the right button prints $100 bills. Left button prints paper for you to print your kid's drawing on them. What's the payment for pressing the button? You keep whatever you print. And this idiot keeps printing the paper. He's printing the paper. No, my kid needs to draw. My kid needs to draw. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, he's printing paper. Now one time he's printing a $100 bill. That's what Chazal is saying over here. You're printing the paper, you fool. Print $100 bill, print $200 bills, print $1,000 bills. It's a $100 bill, it's an eternity. No. He wants to talk about LeBron James. He wants to talk about baseball, basketball, football, I don't know, whatever else people talk about these days. All bunch of waste of time conversations. And as it says in Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, by the wisest man that ever lived, Nafshi yatz'a b'dvaro. Nafshi yatz'a b'dvaro means that the nefesh, the neshama of the person, came out of him, when? Through his words. Chazal explains to us here from this Song of Songs verse, from here we learn from Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest man that ever lived, that every single person comes to the world with a limited amount of words in a bank that they can use. Once they used up all these words, time's up. They go to Shamayim. Now if these words are Divrei Torah, they have an unlimited bank account. You could say Divrei Torah as much as you want. But if it's shtuyot, it's everything else, it's like, oh, what did you do this weekend? What did you buy? Who's running for president? Who is president? Who's the Secretary of State? Who made a lot of money? Who lost a lot of money? Who is this one? Who that one? All the shtuyot that people waste their life doing, talking about. He says you are wasting your life with your words, my friend. Every time a word comes out of your mouth, you're killing yourself, actually. Your neshama comes out just a little bit more. Oh, let me tell you what I heard in the stock market today. Okay, your neshama just came out a little bit more. Oh, let me tell you about this contract that this baseball player signed. You killed yourself a little bit more. A little bit more, closer to death. A little bit more, closer to death. Every time more shtiyot come out. And sometimes you see people, Shem Erachem, they're in the Bet Knesset. Inside the Bet Knesset. Not outside, like at least you have some respect for Torah. No, inside the Bet Knesset. What do? They sit there. They talk nonsense. What do they talk about? Oh, you know, if I was the president, I would go and I would attack that one. I would raise this one. I would increase inflation. I would lower inflation. I would change the rate. I would fire this guy. I would fire that guy. Not only are they killing themselves, but they're wasting their life, even if they're not religious at all, by talking about things that are not even actual. You're talking about what would you do if you were president? You don't even know the president to be the president. You don't even have his phone number. You can't even text him. You can't even tweet him. He doesn't know you exist. Your ideas are meaningless to him. Why do you think your ideas are so important that if you were president? Who cares if you were president? You're not the president. Or like people talk about, no, if I won the lotto, this is what I would do. But you didn't win the lotto. Why are you wasting your time about talking about things that didn't happen? And are not going to happen, most likely. I have this one student, God bless him, he tells me, listen, once I have all this money, in a few months, I'm going to buy a $10 million house. I'm going to have my family come over, and my parents are going to live with me, and he has this whole plan. He talks to me, and I try to give people, I don't know, some time sometimes. I don't know, maybe I have a TIKKUN in this world that I have to listen sometimes. more than I want to. But I let him talk, God bless him. He's a cute kid. He's like, hey, he's going to have this money, he's going to have this, he has this whole plan. So, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes into it, I ask him, wait, do you even have a job? He goes, no, not yet. So how are you going to get all this money? You don't even have a job yet. It's just people like to talk about things that could, they're going to happen. They want to live an illusion. So now, not only do we realize that we're wasting our life by just living in some illusion, but on top of it, we're killing ourselves, according to Shlomo HaMelech. Mamash, killing ourselves. We're wasting our life with every single word that's not Torah. The Chazon Ish makes a very strong statement in the collected letters that they have of him, 392. And he says, some people neglect to bring their daily activities under the umbrella of Torah jurisdiction, meaning that they separate their Torah life with the rest of their life. So when I'm in a Knesset, I'm going to speak Divrei Torah. I'm going to listen to the rabbi's speech. I'm going to pray. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. But when I'm outside, I'm free. I'm going to talk about baseball, football, basketball, business nonstop. I'm outside. I'm not talking about when you have to do it for the purpose of work. Obviously, you have to do it for the purpose of work. I'm talking about anytime you have extra. Anytime that's beyond work. You don't work all the time. Most people believe that they work a lot more than they really do. In reality, you work probably 10 to 15% from what you actually think you work. People that work in an office, they go, oh, no, I work from 9 to 5, I work really, really hard. But in reality, if you actually evaluate the actual work that employee did from 9 to 5, it's maybe an hour and a half. Maybe an hour and a half. Most of the time, you went to the water, you went to the bathroom, nonsense between employees, playing with the papers, looking on the internet, checking his text message, going to the bathroom again, smoking a cigarette, wasting time. Or no, there's no work to do, or he doesn't know, or he's just wasting time, or he's looking at the air, or he's daydreaming. He's not actually working. This is a fact of life. I didn't make this up. This is a reality. 9 to 5, you didn't work for 8 hours. Sorry to tell you. If you actually think you work 8 hours a day, you're sadly mistaken. Even if you people, no, I drive a cab. I work nonstop. Listen, you're pressing a gas pedal. You go from place to place. Yes, over an extended period of time, it's very, very difficult. It's hard on the body. But in reality, you're also enjoying yourself at the same time. You go get some food, you listen to the radio, you listen to music. You don't really feel like you're building a building exactly. The point is that we don't work anywhere near as hard as we think we do. But the guy says, listen, even if you calculate all 8 hours as work, all 8 hours of work, you have a couple hours you have to be Knesset during the day, you have a few hours you have to sleep, you still have a basket of hours left to do something with. You could learn Torah, you could play basketball. You could learn Torah, you could go to the club. It's a basket of hours you have every single day. What are you doing with that time? The guy says, Chazon Ish says, if that guy says that during that time, since I'm not in the Knesset, I don't need to be worried about religion. Because you have a problem. In fact, the Chazon Ish says, even during the 8 hours of work that you have, if you think that you shouldn't be thinking about Torah the whole time, you have a serious problem. Why do you have a problem? He says the practice of dividing the Torah into two separate domains, where on one end you're listening to the scholars of the generation on one part of your life, while the other end is seeking to retain freedom of choice, do what you want. Because this is exactly what the disbelievers of German Jewry did. all the German Jews, it's exactly what they did. They followed the advice of the Mendelssohn, where he said, be a Jew at home and a person, a human being outside. Be religious, pray at home, learn whatever you want to learn at home, but outside be like everybody else. It says this is what happened in German Jewry. And the Germans ended up having such assimilation before World War II that it was over 80% assimilation inside Germany before World War II. Meaning 8 out of 10 couples were intermarried. But not just intermarriage like you have, for example, the horrible situation we have in America, where you have intermarriage, but people, she's Christian, he's a Jew, but neither one of them are really religious. Or sometimes he still goes to synagogue a couple times a year, and she goes to church a couple times a year, and they think it's okay. No. In the times of World War II, it got to such an extent that the Jews said, no. Because Judaism is not for me, I'm going to become a Catholic, I'm going to become a Christian. They converted outside of Judaism. Why? Because they thought that it's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. Chazon Ish says, such practice of compartmentalization is counted among those who have no share in Olam HaBa and cannot even be used as valid witnesses. Someone that compartmentalizes Judaism, where he says, listen, Bet Knesset, I'll be Jew. Outside of Bet Knesset, I have my own life. I got to run my business the way I got to run my business. I got to run my family the way I run my family. I got to run my friends the way I run my friends. He says, if you compartmentalize Judaism, you can actually lose your Olam HaBa because of that, Chazon Ish says. Why? Because Torah has to be on your mind at all times. Why? When you're in business, you have to say, wait a minute, is my business kosher? To start off the business, before we think about the laws of business, before we think about the details of my business, is my business kosher, Bichlal? If you're running a Ponzi scheme, obviously not kosher. If you're cheating people, it's not kosher. If you are dishonest, it's not kosher. You have to change your job. Yeah, but it's going to take me a while. I'm going to make less money. Who cares? There's no exceptions.
Let me know what you think, and make sure to share it, because other